Welcome to New Day Cleveland. We're spending the whole hour enjoying the sights and sounds and tastes from your childhood. From vinyl records to classic diners, we're taking you to Cleveland's top retro locations. So our first stop is home to funky furniture and vintage clothing. It's a time-traveling shopping experience. This is Flower Child.
Flower Child, we've been in business since the 90s. We've been bringing fresh vintage to Northeast Ohio. We are a two-level store. We do mid-century from the 30s through the 80s, everything that you grew up with and more. We try to treat it as a museum so that when people come in here, they have an experience. It's not just shopping, but it's something that brings up memories. A lot of people, we're multi-generational, so you can bring anybody in here from 15 years old to 70. Somebody will always find something here to talk about. We're your best first date. We specialize in clothing more so than anything. We buy and sell every single day of the week. We do mid-century furniture, so we do room sets. We've worked on a lot of the movies. Some people who've shopped with us have been amazingly fun. I can't say their names, but you probably have seen them. We have lines of jewelry here. Mid-century, nothing expensive. The most expensive thing we probably have in our cases is about $130, and it goes down to about $8. There's something here for everybody. Pins, watches, necklaces, brooches, things like that. Some of us collect local memorabilia, so you might walk through the store and you might find a Dick Goddard Woolly Bear trophy or a t-shirt or something like that. We get a lot of the rock groups through, local and national, who buy from us, like Alice Cooper has come in and visited with us in the B-52s. And it's like, and we treat them just like anybody else, and that's the way they want to be treated. We're always looking. Constantly we're out in our cars and we're driving around and trying to find things. But then if you have something for sale, you can send us a picture. We're always open to buying. You can call the store. Any associate here is always looking for something. We believe in honesty in the product. If we don't know what it is, we are not going to lie to you about it. We're going to tell you we don't know. But we're very knowledgeable. Between the 8 people that are here, we always figure it out. I believe that it should be showroom quality. I don't want somebody to buy something that they have to do work. They can put it right in their living room today and enjoy it. We are known for our seasons. Our pink elephant is Vintage Christmas. We're always looking for Vintage Christmas. We do Christmas better than anybody, so if you want to come down for Vintage Christmas and see the old time store windows and visit some of the things that were local, like from Higbee's and May Company and stuff like that. It's an obsession, but the thing about it is that I consider myself a caretaker between myself and the person who last loved it. I started collecting it in college, and friends of mine always said, oh my God, if it's ugly, he owned it. And my whole house was full of it. I believe that we are caretakers between, if your grandmother passed away, your aunt, and they loved it, but you don't love it, we take it in, we foster it, and then we find somebody else who's gonna love it and take care of it just as much. It's been sitting around for 50 years, and somebody else should be loving it all over again.
Flower Child is located on Clifton Boulevard in Cleveland. Okay, let's head down the street to Cleveland's only soda fountain and ice cream shop. It's Sweet Moses.
Sweet Moses is a 1940s soda fountain and treat shop. We offer a variety of different ice creams, chocolates, baked goods, and confections. Soda shops used to be in pharmacies in the 1940s where people would get their prescriptions mixed with something delicious. Now we just serve the delicious ice cream and old-fashioned confections that they used to sell. The name Sweet Moses came from the founder of Cleveland, Moses Cleveland, and it was to pay tribute to him in a sense. My dad opened Sweet Moses in 2011, and it's been growing with the Gordon Square community ever since. When people come in here, they see our baked good cases that have homemade brownies, homemade chocolate chip cookies and sugar cookies. We also have 2 chocolate cases as well with assorted chocolate barks that have different nuts and things of the sort mixed in. There's also homemade chocolate cups that we offer and mini chocolate covered brownie pops. Some things on the menu we have here are ice cream sodas, which is kind of like a root beer float where you choose the soda flavor from our bar back, and we hand carbonate it and then put a scoop of ice cream, whipped cream, and a cherry on top. We also have a variety of different sundaes, including classics like banana splits and brownie sundaes, but we also feature some unique ones such as the Bob Feller Ballpark Sundae, which is a tribute to a great pitcher. We have milkshakes and malted milkshakes, and we do a homemade root beer float that is made with a homemade root beer that comes right from the back. We also have homemade caramel corn. We have a chocolate covered caramel corn, a cheddar cheese corn, and then the melting pot mix, which is a mix of the caramel and the cheese corn. Our hot chocolate is an old-fashioned 1911 recipe. We melt down chocolate chips and then use a combination of whole milk as well as coconut milk and a few special ingredients in there. We top it with a homemade marshmallow and homemade whipped cream as well, and it is phenomenal. We use one ice cream machine for all of our ice cream. So we start off, we put the base of sugar and cream into the machine. You add the ingredients, like if you want to make a chocolate ice cream, you would add the Belgian chocolate to it, as well as some other secret ingredients. And it spins around in the machine for about 7 minutes, and it goes from being a liquid to being an ice cream. I always say it's great to have a job where you get to scoop up smiles and you get to brighten people's day when they come in. It's a really nice thing.
Sweet Moses is located on Detroit Avenue, and that's in the Gordon Square Arts District. After the break, we're getting an inside look at how vinyl records are made.
And then through compression molding, just like the grit on a waffle iron, you heat that vinyl puck up. It flows and fills the grooves and releases and makes a record.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland. Did you know that the city of rock and roll is home to a vinyl record factory? That's right, we're getting an exclusive look inside. This is Gotta Groove Records.
Gotta Groove Records. We're a vinyl record manufacturer based here in Cleveland. We started the business back in spring of 2009. We recognized that vinyl record sales are starting to increase again. We thought, I think that's going to continue. And given Cleveland's history with music, the Rock Hall and all that, I thought, boy, this would be great if we could pull this off. And fortunately, we were able to. Of course, first part of the process is getting the record recorded. So obviously that's typically done in a studio or in a home studio. We are able to send the file of the recording to our lacquer cutter. The lacquer is a blank lacquer disc. It's put on a turntable, it rotates, and then there's a cutting head on that arm that actually takes that sound and etches the original signal into the lacquer. Eventually a metal image of that called a mother is made. A negative image of that is called a stamper is made. That's peeled off. Because it's a negative, the stamper has raised grooves. So the A stamper fits on our bottom mold, the B side fits on the top mold. In the press, the vinyl comes forward as a puck, and then through compression molding, just like the grit on a waffle iron, you heat that vinyl puck up. It flows and fills the grooves and releases and makes a record. We make roughly 1 million records a year. Every project is a little bit different. The band that just picked up Mr. Gnome did a 1,000 record run. It's a 2-record set, so that's 2,000 records. We'll do as little as 100 records. We've done as many as 50,000 records for some artists.
Picking up some records, our new record, we just got pressed with them. To have this in our backyard is really cool. It's the people here are amazing too. They're great to work with, and the product is awesome as well.
We do local artists, but we do a lot of artists that are nationally and internationally known as well. We've done records for Willie Nelson, Jerry Lee Lewis, Tom Waits, Jason Isbell. We recently did, and it was the #1 vinyl album in the country for a couple weeks. It's the culmination of their artistic vision. There's something physical that they can look at and know that properly taken care of, you could play that 100 years from now. Quite a few of them have never put out vinyl before, and you can see the joy in their face when they get a record. I prefer to listen to a record because it's a way to disengage and really forces you to listen to it from beginning to end, which is what the artist intended, and not just take snippets of one song here or there. They draw the equivalent of it's like reading a novel versus a short story, if you will. It's a more rewarding listening experience to sit and listen to the record. Playing this in somebody's home versus, hey, come on over and listen to my digital version of it, is just a different experience.
You can learn more about Gotta Groove Records by visiting them online. Okay, now we're headed to an East Side restaurant straight out of the 50s. Check it out. It's Mary's Diner.
Mary's Diner is a 50s style diner. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're open 7 days a week, and it's really a family location. We have lots of kids and young adults and families, and of course the older people who like to come in and see what it used to look like, you know, back in the day. We have 2 locations. One's in Geneva and one's in Madison. A lot of people say that 50s diner, you know, how's it going to work now with the generation of kids that weren't born or even around during that time? It still looks cool. People still enjoy the stuff on the walls and the way that it looks, even now with this generation. So we really wanted to have something that was cool and retro, and Mary's is where it's at. We run the gamut from fried bologna sandwiches all the way to salmon salads and steaks and burgers, hand-dipped milkshakes, breakfast all day. We pretty much do it all. One of our most popular items is our Mary's Big Egg Bowl. We do also a breakfast burger, which is a big 8-ounce Angus patty on a waffle with eggs and hash browns and cheese, and it's great. Our pot roast is probably our #1 bestseller. We actually house make that, and everybody seems to come in here specifically for that. We have daily specials throughout the week that people are really up on, from barbecue ribs to we do liver and onions on Monday, which everybody says is great, but I'll have to take their word for it, you know. It's not. Our biggest thing is, you'll notice when you walk in the door, is the Chevy front end that we have, and we have a 57 Chevy at the Geneva store and a 55 Chevy here at Madison, so that's one of the iconic features here. Of course, the old gas pumps, the old stuff up on the walls, so we really try to keep it as genuine as we can with our decoration. A lot of that's tied into our service. And 100% of what we do is how you would have been treated back in the 50s, and making sure that you're completely taken care of, and that the servers treat you like you want to be treated. And that's something that's sometimes been lost in some of the newer, larger restaurants. It's real dedication to the customer, and once you come into Mary's and you get to know us and we get to know you, you're a friend. You're truly a member of our family, and we treat you that way. You can come in here and it's like Cheers, you know, where everybody knows your name and they'll all shout it out when you come in. So it's kind of like that. You have a good opportunity to meet a lot of different people and really get to know those people from a personal level. And it's more about than just the restaurant. It's really about building those relationships. We have customers who call us and just give us updates on how they're doing. My father and I will call customers just to check in on them and see how they are, because it's not just about customers, it's about family here. Mary's Diner has been very important to me and my family both. It's changed our life completely. The diners have always meant something special to all of us. I mean, half of my family works here, so sometimes that's a good and sometimes that's a bad thing, I guess. But it's been a truly life-changing and God-blessing experience. It's been great.
Mary's Diner has 2 locations. We checked out the one in Madison, but the original is in Geneva. Coming up after the break, retro refrigerators getting a new life.
If you have a vintage fridge in your home, it's going to catch attention, and I think it adds a lot of character to your home.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland and our Retro Cleveland Road Trip. They've been around for over 25 years. This is Carol and John's Comic Book Shop.
Carol and John's Comic Book Shop is a brick and mortar comic book shop in the city of Cleveland proper, the far west side in West Park. It was founded by my mother and I in 1990. We sell comics and action figures and associated merchandise, primarily books and graphic novels and comic books. But we also act as a community hub for people that like the properties, a place to gather and discuss things that they like. Originally, I inherited a comic book collection from my great-grandfather. He was a Polish immigrant. He could speak English, but he couldn't read it, so he would learn about comics from the context. And when he passed away in 1978, he left them to me, and I got into them. And then I started working in a comic book shop in Parma when I was 11 years old. They hired my mom, and then in 1990, the two of us got laid off, and we opened this up, and we've been here ever since. The aesthetic in our store is a little bit different because my mom was a female in the comic book industry when there weren't really a lot of women in the industry. It was always a male-dominated hobby. But what she's left here in the store is the aesthetic of cleanliness, openness. We keep the windows open air. We keep distancing so it's American with Disabilities accessible. Things that were important to her are still important to us today. When you come in, you see our new comic book table. Every Wednesday, we get a full shipment of new comics, hundreds of titles. It's always going to be the heroes that are classics, just like classic baseball players or football players. It's always going to be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Captain America, Spider-Man. More and more Black Panthers coming to the forefront. Again, things go in trends, but those classic characters always are the most popular. A lot of the store is also adorned with original artwork by local artists. So it's kind of a different angle to have things displayed on the walls that aren't for sale, but we think that's what gives the comic shop a character. A lot of comic shops have issues with being cultural gatekeepers, but we want everyone to know that when you come in here, we're going to help you find the story that connects with you. We're not going to tell you what we like, we're going to talk to you and interact with you and find out what you would like. What connects comic books to all ages is that they're shared generational properties. If I'm talking about Superman, my 5-year-old daughter knows who Superman is, and my 85-year-old grandmother knows who Superman is. So there's a common ground and a connection where these characters are known by generations. Other properties like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been around for a long time. Parents can relate to their kids on that level because they know these characters. They know what they're about and they know the core values. If no one's ever had a chance to check us out, I always say, come on in the store. Come on in the store and please tell us it's your first visit to the comic book shop, and we'll give you a tour around. We try and greet everybody when they come in, but we'll give you the extra special care if you come in, because people always ask me, what do you think my kid would like? What would you like to read? The best answer is to come in the comic shop and let them pick something out for themselves.
Carol and John's Comic Book Shop is located on Lorraine Avenue, and that is in Cleveland. Our next stop brings vintage refrigerators back to life. This is Retro Revival.
Our main thing is we do restoration of vintage refrigerators. We call them retro fridges. And we have artwork made by myself and my husband. I'm an enamelist, enamel on copper art and jewelry, and my husband does stained glass and some painting. And then we also work with vintage items just as they are. We don't do anything to them. We'll just look for unique items that people may want for their home. A while back, way back, my family owned a automotive shop. And so back in 2008, when small businesses had a really hard time surviving, we found a different line of business. We had one of the old fridges and my brother just cleaned it up. He gave it a new paint job, and when it was done, we had no intentions of doing anything with it other than just having it for ourselves. I thought, well, let's try selling it. And after a few months it sold, and we just thought, well, let's do another one. And it was just kind of this natural progression for us to do this, and it caught a lot of attention. All the parts are taken apart, and we take off the paint. Sometimes there's 3 layers of paint on these things, sometimes more. And then we do any repair work that's needed to the metal. Very similar to repairing a car, which was why it was kind of a natural step for us. My dad is a licensed refrigeration specialist, and he knows how to inspect these, make sure they're working properly, as well as convert to modern refrigeration. Well, one of my most popular items that I sell of my enamels are my Lucky Pennies. I work with enamel on copper, which is not a very common medium for artists. So I use old pennies that are 100% copper, and enamel is a powdered glass. When fired in a kiln, it fuses to the metal, and it stays in the kiln for about a minute to a minute and a half. And I make art and jewelry, items for the home. My husband, also a CIA alum, he was also in painting, and he specializes in stained glass. And he makes stained glass pieces for ornaments and home decor items, as well as some jewelry. I think it's a conversation piece. If you have a vintage fridge in your home, if it's in your kitchen or your basement, whatever you choose, it's going to catch attention, and I think it adds a lot of character to your home.
Retro Revival is located in Valley View. Still to come on New Day Cleveland, we're playing pinball.
It's fun, it's social. You don't have to be a professional or very, very good. You can just come and play and flip around and enjoy some stuff that you did in your childhood.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland and our Retro Cleveland show. What's more retro than vinyl records, right? Shop for some classics at Blue Arrow Records.
Blue Arrow Records is a vintage record shop. When I first moved in here, I thought, well, what are we going to call it? And I thought about Waterloo Records, because it's riffing on the name of the street. But you'll notice on the front of the building, there's a big blue arrow. And everyone always referred to this as the Blue Arrow Building. So then I said, you know, why fight the obvious? This is Blue Arrow Records. Blue Arrow Records specializes in vintage records. This is our rock section. Over here we have jazz, and we have R&B records. We have country over there, oldies, novelty, all kinds of stuff, soundtracks. World music over here. We have some hip hop music up there. So if you're looking for it, chances are we do have it. We're constantly buying collections, and so when our customers come back, rather than having to go through all the records again, we have a little new arrival section over there, so they'll say, okay, this is new to me. I do try to cater to people's. We have a little list over there. If someone's looking for something, we'll write down what they're looking for. And given that these are vintage records, you can't just order it. We'll take notes of what they're looking for, and then we'll say, when it comes in, if it comes in, we contact, hey, that's in, and people get a big kick out of that, and we look out for them. Music is definitely way of uniting people, connecting people, and just soothing one's soul. What makes vinyl records, I think, most desirable for people is it's just how tangible it is to hold in your hands. And I know when I was growing up, we used to love just opening up the records and just looking at every little bit of it. Yeah, there's just something about putting the needle on the record and just hearing the sound of it, and you're actual participant in playing it, where CDs or digital stuff, it's a little too easy. The warmth of the record is what appeals to me. I kind of refer to it as like a fireplace in the background. You just hear this crinkling and stuff. We have our resident cats here that people are fans of, and they come to visit with them and share experience with that as well. That's Freeway there. He's the tabby cat, and Rhonda is the tortoise, I guess. They're the ones who come out. We have some more that stay in the back, but those are the ones who come out and hang out and visit with people. Just trying to share music with people and get that in their hands, because it means so much to me, and I just love seeing when young kids, young adults, whatever, with records into their arms. It's like, here comes the next generation. I'm just trying to make sure it survives and gets appreciated.
Blue Arrow Records is located on Waterloo Road, and that is in Cleveland. Our next stop is a comic book store known for their pinball machines. This is Kid Force Collectibles.
Kid Force Collectibles is a comic book store that has been around since 2008. We sell comic books, games, toys, action figures, Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of nerd items, which is, hip to be a nerd these days. And we host one of the biggest pinball leagues on the planet. Don, who is the owner-operator for the machines, came into my store one day at our old location, and he said, I love toys and games and comic books and all this good stuff, but I play pinball. And so we started chatting about pinball, and he said, how would you like to put a machine in here?
About a week in, he called me and he says, coin slots don't work. And I go, okay. Well, there was a lot of money in the coin slots, and I guess we had a hit after that.
There was a line of people to play the game, probably 2-3 people deep all day long.
We went from 1 to 2 to 3, and then we went to 5 and then 9 at the end. And as soon as we went to 9, we decided, hey, we need to get another place, and we moved over here, and now we're at 21 machines.
We have approximately 160 players in each of our leagues. League lasts for 8 weeks, and in league you play 6 games per week. Then you earn points on those games based on how well you did versus all the other players. So it's competitive, but it's also incredibly social. We get together 5 days a week, and everyone who's playing has an absolute blast. It could just be anybody. Really, there is no limits on who plays pinball. Pinball machines are always on for people to play at any time, so you can come in, drop your quarters, and get a game of pinball in whenever we're open.
It's fun, it's social. You don't have to be a professional or very, very good. You can just come and play and flip around and enjoy some stuff that you did in your childhood. And we actually get a lot of kids now that come in and, it's something social they do with their parents, and they get out and have a good time.
Kid Force Collectibles is located on Front Street, and that is in Berea. Still to come on New Day Cleveland, old school video games.
It just blows my mind that these kids want to play these games that are 30 years old, and they know more about them than I do sometimes. It's just mind-blowing.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland. From Pong to PlayStation, our next stop has collectible video games. This is Video Game Nirvana.
It's a retro video game store. I sell everything from Pong and Atari up to the latest PlayStation, Xbox, and everything in between. We're in downtown Madison, right off of 90, 528, about a half a mile off the freeway. I've been a collector for about 25 years, and I got to the point where I had so much stuff that I just realized that it was time to let go of some of it. I have Pong, so the earliest versions of Pong, an Atari 2600, the one that everybody had with Pac-Man and Space Invaders, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, so I carry everything old, new, and in between. Right now, the most popular systems are Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2. That's what a lot of people had growing up, and a lot of people come in here are just trying to regain that nostalgia, regain that childhood feel of playing a Mario game or a Zelda. And the thing about PlayStation 2 is it plays PlayStation 1 games, so you have almost 4,000 games to choose from, so there's definitely something for everyone. I sell accessories also, so if you have an old system that just needs a power supply, I have that, or the audio video cables, I have that, or controllers, or whatever you need, there's a really good chance I have it in store, or I can get it for you. A lot of older books, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, old lunch boxes, old collector's glasses. I also do computer games. I'm one of the few places that has what's called big box computer games. So it's the old computer games from the 1980s and 90s, and you don't see those a lot of places other than online. But this is a physical location where I have a lot of them and I sell them.
Do you have the Intellivision 2?
It's a buy-sell trade. So people bring in old games they're no longer playing or sitting around collecting dust, and they get a trade value or a cash value on anything they bring in. So the trade value is a little higher for something in the store if they wanted to pick something out, or they get a cash value, and then I turn around and clean it and repurpose it and resell it. People come in all the time and ask just about games, or they'll bring in their system and I'll try to get them fixed and working again. On the weekends, the arcades are set up on free play, so you can come up and play Donkey Kong or Pac-Man or whatever you want to play. A lot of people are just looking for an escape, or they're looking to get back that feeling that they had when they were playing Mario when they were 10 years old. It's just that nostalgic feeling that you had that you want again. Everyone's just trying to recapture that spirit of being a kid and having fun, and before adulthood and all that really crushed you down a little bit. A lot of the kids are playing the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, but I'm always surprised because there's kids coming in that are wanting to play stuff that I played growing up. So they want some old Nintendo games or even Atari. And I just want to shake their parents' hand and say, you're doing a great job bringing them up, because it just blows my mind that these kids want to play these games that are 30 years old, and they know more about them than I do sometimes. It's just mind-blowing. A lot of people come in and they actually thank me for being here. I get a lot of people saying this is more like a museum than it is a store. And the people here have just been so nice and so kind and so welcoming. It just makes me feel really good that I'm helping in some way someone be a little happier at the end of the day.
Video Game Nirvana is located on Main Street, and that is in Madison. Okay, now it's time to hunt for nostalgic treasures. The best place to look is at Vintage Finds.
We're kind of like an eclectic mix of vintage items, antiques, probably from anything from mid-1800s all the way up into the 1980s. You can find a little bit of anything. A lot of people will say it's man cave, but we also have items for kids of all ages, adults. We do a lot of gas and oil, porcelain signs, coin-op vending items, trains, a lot of paper advertising, craft items. We try to be very competitive in the market. A lot of other stores, price things the old way through books and value, through value price books. But everything we do, everything we buy or sell is priced on the current market of selling. And what I mean by that is the online selling, because online is such a large presence nowadays that we have to base it on what we see at eBay, Etsy, online auctions, and those are what people are actually paying for those type of things. So we want to price our stuff just a hair below what they're going for, so we can rotate our inventory, because we have more inventory than our store can hold. And we also sell on eBay, and we sell on Etsy, and we sell on Facebook Market. We sell pretty much anywhere we can. I'd say the majority of our items though are on our site or in our store. We get calls almost every day from our website. People find us online very easy, and we have a lot of locals who bring items in that they want to sell. I take old carburetors, automotive carburetors, old gas torches, gas meters. I've taken old radiant heaters, gas fireplace inserts, and I turn them into table lamps, floor lamps. They have that kind of industrial look, but I do a hand patina on a lot of them. I've always loved vintage items, and as far as the store, I mean, this is my passion. I started this as a hobby, and it was a hobby that turned into a website that grew into the store. So it's been probably 12 years now, and the store's been open 8 years, and every year it just gets bigger and better.
Vintage Finds is located on Route 20 in Paynesville. After the break, a diner inspired by hot rods.
I think that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on, is it's like you made it yourself, but you didn't have to do any of the work, or your mom made it for you. You didn't have to do any of the work.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland. Who's ready for lunch? It's a classic diner inspired by classic cars. This is Hot Grills Diner.
Hot Grills Diner is a classic car, motorcycle themed, old school diner. We try not to use a lot of prepared food. We try not to use a lot of preservatives. If you get a turkey sandwich here, we roasted that turkey. Our ham is a carving ham. I don't like lunch meat, so I don't serve lunch meat. All of our meats come in fresh. We make our own country fried steaks. Our potatoes were potatoes this morning. We do our own French fries. As a matter of fact, I only have a little freezer because I don't want to serve a lot of frozen products. We make our own chilies. We make our own soups. I think that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on, is it's like you made it yourself, but you didn't have to do any of the work, or your mom made it for you. You didn't have to do any of the work. We have the best pancakes, by far the best pancakes. They are fantastic. And then we added a lot of fun stuff to the menu, like we don't just do a plain French toast, we do a crunchy French toast. So it's battered and breaded, and then it's served with fresh strawberries and bananas. You don't even need syrup. We do our breakfast, my favorite one is the huevos de muerte, and it is the eggs of death. It is a huge, on a skillet, a huge pile of potatoes, vegetables, and eggs scrambled in. We top it with our homemade chili and chili con queso. So it's just this big, there's not a bite in that dish that doesn't have flavor. My daughter works here with me. Nikki makes all of our cupcakes. Because we're a breakfast and lunch place, people don't generally eat a lot of heavy desserts in the middle of the day, but it's nice to take that little cupcake home with you or back to the office and eat it later. Her cupcakes aren't just cake and frosting, they're filled. So if you're getting a cherry cream cheese, there's cream cheese in the middle of the cupcake, frosting, and then usually some cherries on top. She tries to get real creative with the decorating, and more like a dessert than just cake. I'm here basically 7 days a week. When I wake up at home and I don't have to be here, I wonder what's happening down here, so I just come down anyways. Talk to my guests. I mean, I hate to call people guests or customers because they become friends. My favorite part of a Saturday is walking around with my cup of coffee and talking to my friends.
Hot Grills Diner is located on Northfield Road, and that is in Walton Hills. Now we're headed to a shop on the west side that will buy your retro toys. This is Applejack's Toys.
Applejack's Toys is a vintage themed toy store, neighborhood toy store here in Birdtown, Lakewood, Ohio, Madison Avenue. It's basically a store that will bring back your childhood if you were born anywhere from the 1960s all the way up until 2000. We're trying to have a toy store for everyone, but more of like a feel of like a small little gift shop toy store. Feature a lot of things from the 1980s, which is my wheelhouse, 1990s, some 1970s, some 1960s, and even some 2000s, a lot of new toys too, because we're trying to encourage parents to bring their children into the store and give them what it felt like for us to have a small little unique place that just had little trinkets, toys that we enjoyed from our childhood. Well, I've been collecting toys since I was a little boy. I've been pretty much infatuated for many, many, many years. And throughout my adult life, I always left to come back to collecting. And I've met numerous people, and I just started kind of flipping to build my own toy collection. Once I started doing that, I started to find value in other toy lines. So I'm a G.I. Joe guy. I collect G.I. Joe toys since I was a young child, but I started to see the value in Transformer toys or My Little Pony toys. So I started picking up things and started trading. Started working for numerous stores doing that over the years. And I've been doing it for so long that I built up such an inventory that I almost started an online business, honestly. And once I started noticing a lot of toy stores closing, I decided to do a retail shop, do my own, do something that everything in here is something that I'd want to do. And my wife very much brought her side into it as well. The difference between our store and a big box store is if you're a parent, you're going to come in here and you're going to see something that you looked at in Sears Wish Book possibly. You're going to see something that you desired as a child, and you're going to be able to relate that to your child. Maybe something they may even purchase for their child or a grandchild. You could find it here. You're not going to find that anywhere else that's not a mom and pop toy store. We buy toys. People bring us in toys by the truckloads often, yeah. So if anybody definitely wants to have a message related to us, if you have a whole bunch of collection of something, don't know what to do with it, bring it to us. We'll get it back in the hands of kids. We'll carry anything like a licensed lunch boxes. We have licensed pull string bags, newer action figures that are new in the package that we buy from different distributors and sell here in the store. So we have the Archie McPhee Bigfoot, which is a very popular figure that sells. You know, things like Superman, Batman, DC, Marvel, Spider-Man book bags, Star Wars R2-D2 book bags, things of that nature. I've been working with collectibles for over a few decades now, and this is really what I want to do with my life. So it really means a lot to me that I have a lot of customers and that we can keep this rolling. So I want to give back the same way people have been giving back to me as best as possible.
Applejack's Toys is located on Madison Avenue in Lakewood. Well, that's going to do it for our Retro Cleveland show. We took a step back in time to reminisce a little bit, and we hope we brought back some wonderful memories for everyone. It was nice for me. Hope it was good for you. Guess what? We'll see you in the next New Day Cleveland. So long.